The US just froze visa applications for Zimbabwe, and could South Africa be next? Today we're unpacking what's behind Washington's new travel clampdown, the fight over dodgy traffic fine targets in Joburg, and the big changes coming to how South Africa measures jobs. And be sure to stick around for the Wildcard trip to a hidden corner of the country that most South Africans will never see. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and with all that out the way, let's get into it. This past week, the US just slammed the brakes on all routine visa applications from Zimbabwe, meaning no new tourist, work, or student visas will be processed for now. Now, the embassy says that the pause is temporary while it resolves, and I quote, concerns with the Zimbabwean government. Now, this is just the latest in a string of restrictions targeting Southern African development community countries. I mean, just last week, Malawi and Zambia were both hit with this controversial visa bond of up to $15,000, which is forfeited if travelers overstay. So for now, South Africa is off the list, but we're one of roughly 36 countries that the US has warned to title travel documentation or face the same treatments. And some analysts say that the mood is shifting in Washington. I mean, trade talks are already tense, our ICJ case against Israel has raised political hackles, and a bolder BRIC stance could put us in the same firing line as Zimbabwe. And now, if all of this happens, it's not just the holidaymakers who will feel it. Business travel, academic exchanges, and entire industries could find the doors to the US more difficult to open. So do you ever get that feeling that traffic cops are just out to get you? Well, according to the DA, that might not be paranoia, it might just be policy. You see, they claim that the Johannesburg Metro police officers are under pressure to pull in $7,000 in fines each day, with overtime pay for those who make the cut. And so this is an incentive system that they say turns policing into commission work and shifts the focus from road safety to revenue. Now, the DA also alleges that many of the city's roadblocks aren't about catching reckless drivers, but about hitting those targets, often rebranded as roadside checks to skirt legal requirements like proper authorization, signage, and advanced warning. So look, the JMPD calls these claims nonsense, saying that there's no quota and that these fines are only issued for actual offenses. But with over 22 billion rand in irregular expenditure on the city's books and Treasury threatening to cut funding to the Metro, some critics say that this backdrop makes those denials a tough sell. South Africa is about to change how it measures jobs, and while that might sound boring, give me a second because it is anything but. So from the third quarter, Stats SA will use a revamped job survey designed to get a clearer picture of the country's real workforce, especially in the informal sector. So this comes after former Capitec CEO Khadi Fourie argued that our 32.9% unemployment rate ignores millions hustling in what can only be described as our informal economy, from spaza shops to backyard rentals. Now, Stats SA doesn't buy his 10% unemployment rate claim, but they do agree that the data could be sharper. So this new approach will align with new international standards, updating how informal work is counted, ditching outdated rules, and capturing more of the side hustles and small businesses that keep our households afloat. Okay, so why does this matter? Well, if this new data shows a noticeably lower unemployment rate under these international standards, it could shift how investors, rating agencies, and policymakers view South Africa's economic health and influence the kind of bets that they're willing to place on us. And before we cruise on to our Bagel Bite of the day, here's a couple other headlines worth knowing. For starters, gold prices have cooled after a wild run earlier this year as US tariff confusion just rattled the market. Traders are now waiting on Washington to clarify whether certain gold bars will actually face duties. SARS Commissioner Edward Kiswetter says that he will be stepping down early next year, ending the time that he has spent leading the tax authority since 2019, when he was brought in to rebuild it after the state capture years. And on that note of SARS, they must have been pretty thrilled to hear that Dean Burmester banked over 70 million rand on Sunday, winning his second Live Golf title in Chicago and ending Stinger GC's 31-event team drought. And on to our Bagel Bite of the day. Let's see what you got. Alrighty, in what year did South Africa co-host the Cricket World Cup? I'm talking about the ODI series here. Was it A, 1999, B, 2001, or C, 2003? Bonus points if you know who won it. And on to our wildcard section. Up in the far northern Cape, right to the Namibian border, the Orange River cuts through Richtersveld, which is this desert wilderness that most South Africans have never seen, but certainly should. So it also happens to be one of the best multi-day paddling trips in the country. It's got a pool drop river, meaning it's got calm stretches between small rapids. So you don't need to be a pro to enjoy it, but it will keep you on your toes. So most people join a guided trip. So you paddle during the day, swim in deep pools, and camp on the riverbanks at night. Now the guides cook over a fire. The stars are just ridiculous. And the only noise is the water moving past and the occasional sheep. So as I mentioned, this route runs through the Richtersveld Transfrontier Park, which is a World Heritage Site with rock formations over 300 million years old. I mean, just think about that for a second. As well as the Nama communities who have been farming there for generations. And look, this isn't the type of trip you're going to stumble on by accident. So if you have the means to do it, I'd recommend taking a look for yourself and seeing a side of South Africa that most people never will. And as for that Bagel Bite, the answer is 2003, the first time the Cricket World Cup was hosted across 3 countries, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Kenya. Australia dominated the tournament, beating India in the final as Ricky Ponting slogged 140 runs, not out. And my friends, that's it for today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in all the way until the end. I hope you've all had a fantastic start to the week, and I'll see you all tomorrow for round 3. I'll catch you guys all then. Cheers.